The Eden Park Trust Board has withdrawn its application to hold a charity concert at the famous Auckland venue on Waitangi Day next year. A media release issued this afternoon stated the Trust lawyers had advised them obtaining resource consent could cost $750,000 and trustees had decided it wasn't viable for them to continue. The concert was to have been for 1 million babies, LifePod appeal to make 2,000 LifePods to save babies around the world. Comments from Sam Morgan reported by Newsroom, work earlier this week also by Newsroom, and emails that we've received have cast some doubt on the current status of the LifePod project. More on that coming up. But people living near Eden Park opposed the concert because of the precedent it would set, making a sports venue into a music venue. One of them was former Prime Minister Helen Clark, who reacted to the decision a short time ago.
I feel an enormous sense of relief, John. This is a park with a lot of money to spend on public relations, on everything around promoting what it wants. And yet, for me as a neighbour, the thought of a concert, Trojan horse application, no noise limits, huge disruption with trucks and trailers going, setting the precedent for the future, this is really something very, very disturbing. So I am relieved that it's been withdrawn.
The Trojan horse application, was that the thing that most worried you, that this would be a precedent and that more concerts would follow?
Most definitely. They are able to apply case by case for up to 6 a year, but I think the commercial plan for Eden Park Trust is basically to set precedents and then say it's all fine, we can be a major concert venue. Now that is very, very concerning to me and clearly to others who made submissions against it. There is the Mount Smart venue, which has roughly the equivalent seating at 45,000 as to what they were seeking for this application. That's where concerts should go. They are set to go there. There's proper planning permission.
In terms of the Eden Park case for this, they seem to have attached themselves very strongly to the value of the fundraising that was going on here. Were you persuaded that this was a good one-off to have, given where the money was going?
I always saw it as a Trojan horse application. I think, in a sense, the person who wanted the concert and the park were using each other. One wanted a venue, the other wanted to set a precedent for concerts. Now, a concert, if it was to be useful for a charity, should go to an established venue. It shouldn't be used as a test case planning application in a way that's quite divisive in the neighbourhood.
In terms of the charity that was being supported here, and the people who were going to be beneficiaries because of the money raised, what do you say to them about the fact this concert is now not happening?
Well, my objection was based on it being a Trojan horse application. The more, however, we've heard about the proposal for the concert, the more questions have been raised by a number of people as to what the public is being asked to fund. I think the impression had been given that there were a couple of thousand incubators ready to be sent off to poor countries. This turns out not to be the case at all. These pods don't exist except in a prototype. They're not certified. They can't be tested here because they wouldn't get ethical approval. The proposal is to test them on Indian babies. The whole thing starts to become, shall we say, a little odd.
Of course, the criticism of you, and it's been pretty vocal, and I know you're aware of it, is that you are a NIMBY. And if we look at the Eden Park Trust media release, it says 3/4 of submissions to the resource consent process supported the LifePod appeal concert, and UMR research, presumably commissioned by them, shows that 91% of Aucklanders and 87% of people living nearby also support it. So you were in a minority of people, it seems, who were opposed to this.
Well, firstly, anyone anywhere can make a submission, so we don't know who those submitters are, where do they come from, are they friends of trust board members from all over? We just don't know. Secondly, on the methodology for this, quote, polling, end quote, we don't know what their definition of local is. In the description, it talks about people who live in Mount Eden, Mount Albert, here, there and everywhere. They may not even be in the immediate catchment of the park. So there's been very little transparency around any of that. What I know is that quite a number of my neighbours are concerned, continue to be concerned, and supported the stand taken by the Eden Park Neighbours Association.
What happens to Eden Park? How do we get it right? Because by golly, that is a valuable piece of real estate, and I drive past it very often, and almost every time I drive past it, it's empty. Is it a white elephant, and are the neighbours getting in the way of it becoming more productive?
In my opinion, if the park is to be more than the sports ground it has traditionally been, and that sports ground over time has come to be a night sports venue, etc., but to be more than that is not really compatible with being in a local, densely packed residential neighbourhood. I think really thought needs to be given again to the Central Business District Stadium, which would be close to all the major transport routes in by ferry, by train, by bus, and of course by private car. That would make a lot more sense if we're planning a city for the future.
Helen Clark, neighbour of Eden Park, talking to us earlier.